Guys, in the previous video we've seen how to start a new project, so now let's get into it. So we all know that any project, whether it is a road design, a pit design, or dam design, or whatever, so you need the topography. You need the topography to choose the right place to start that specific project, and that's what we are going to do right now. So, inside Micromine you can import uh, almost all kind of file extensions that you can imagine. So from AutoCAD, DWG, DXF to GIS software shape files, and you can import XYZ files, whether they are an Excel sheet or a text file, uh, and there's plenty of other files you can import, like all the other mining packages files, like Surpac strings, Vulkan strings, mine side. And so that's why I really like Micromine, because if you have clients that use another a different package, or they give you a data in different formats than the Micromine format, you can always convert them and read the file here inside Micromine. So let's get started and import a shape file, because that's one of the really known file extension for geologists in general. So we go to File and Import, and we choose Vector, and you can see that we have CAD, GIS, GPS data. So you can import all kind of, so another CAD here, so we can import CAD from here, or DXF for the version 12, because it looks like it has a different coding or whatever. So we go to Vector, and we can go to here and choose our shape file and open that out, and we just name this topography. Already got that covered, so let's type it again, topography, and make sure you import all the attributes, or if you want to select a couple of them, you make click on select here and select them. So let's just keep that all. Now here, if you're loading DXF file, when you click on this one, you get all the layers inside that DXF file, or the DWG file, if you are people familiar with AutoCAD systems. So you pick up the topography or whatever you want to load to Micromine. So I'm going to select this one and click on OK. So you don't have to change anything in here. You can change that later on. So we click on Run, and this is going to be pretty fast compared to AutoCAD files. So that's why I've chosen to convert my topography to a shapefile, because it is a little bit faster into processing inside Micromine. But this topography here we are going to use is actually in New Zealand. I just chosen a random site, so this is not a mining project or whatever. So this is just something that I've did myself. I've chosen a random site, so everything we are going to cover in here is just for educational purpose. So if you know the site we are looking at right now, it doesn't mean that there's a potential mineral or whatever in there. So let's get started. So we have the topography in here. You can see that we have all the different strings. Like I said, string is a polyline that have a Z. So let's go to property. Okay, we got the Z in there. So the here we got the X and Y and Z. Anyway, so because it is really dense, I think that this is gonna cause some problems, because it's gonna slow down everything. So let's see how to create DDM out of these strings or contours. So by the way, for Micromine, these for the moment are just strings. They're not contours because there's a difference between them inside Micromine, and we'll cover that later on and see how to generate contours out of a wireframe. So let's create a wireframe. So wireframe is actually a solid. In other software they call it DDM. So I'm gonna create a digital terrain model, but a wireframe could be, for example, the top of an ore or the bottom of an ore layer. It could be a pit, so it's just a solid something 3D that we can see. It used the triangulation algorithm to create these wireframes. So we selected that, so we go to wireframe tools and create a DDM. Okay, so what it says here, so as you can see, we've got the select the strings and points from which to create the DDM. Because we already selected that and clicked on that, so this step is already done. So we go to the next step, which is select optional restriction string. So for example, let's say that you want to create just a little wireframe here inside this box. So if you have a limit for that as a string, like square string in here, you can use that to restrict the creation of a wireframe on the outer of that string. But for the moment we are going to create a wireframe for the whole topography. So to confirm that, which is an optional, so we are going to skip that. All you have to do is to right click. Okay, now we got this build DDM window. So we got here the type, which could be anything. So we have alteration, DDM, fault, or whatever. You pick up one of these. Think of these things as some sort of database, just or folders that Micromine uses to store wireframes. So we cannot store other things inside of these, so we just store wireframes. And let's say that we have different wireframes. Like I said, a wireframe could be the top or the bottom of an ore. It could be the topography, it could be a fault, it could be a pit or a dam design. So if this is gonna get messy a little bit, you have to structure them and store the topography inside the DDM, the pit design, or all the different design inside pit, the mineralization in here, whatever. I think you got the point from that. So we are going to store it on the DDM for the moment. Click on OK. So we can name this to whatever we want. We can name it to topography because it is a topography. And we are, so inside the option here, you can see that we've got different options, but the important one in here is trim edges. So if you have a maximum angle or maximum length to create the triangles, you can define them here to sort of, so for example, what if we have a topography like this and there's no data in here, and we don't want to interpolate between these two places, so it's going to be like false data. So what we have to do is to calculate the distance in here and say that this distance is above 100 meter, so we don't want to exceed that, so we define the maximum length as 100 meter, and Micromine will do that automatically and clip that out, and is not going to create triangulation here. So I think that's okay. So we click on OK in here, and there you go. We're triangulating, and should take some time because the size of topography here is a little bit big, and we'll try to maybe choose a place in the middle, or a place where we can create our pit. And as you can see, it's slowing things down right now, and the topography now is loading the wireframe, and there you go. Now let's hide the string. As you can see here, we have two different layers. This symbol or icon in here means that we've got a wireframe. This one is for strings, so keep that in mind. So Let's hide the strings for the moment. You click on that and you can see that we have a 3D wireframe. Like I said in the past, now we can view things in 3D. Let's just hit shift and the mouse wheel, click it and drag it, and we can see that we have really cool topography in here. Okay, so let's go and add some colors in here to make things a little bit obvious. So go to property, so you right click on that wireframe, go to property and go to display and check 3D color coding, and for the attribute by default it's the Z value. So if it's not on Z by default, so all you have to do is to double click and choose Z. So we want to see color based on the Z, which is the elevation. So click on OK. Now for this one you just right click, and this is because usually you find just two intervals in here, and what to do is to go to assign, and we have the Z attribute as the attribute for the colors, and choose whatever ranges you want. So I've chosen 100 range and click on OK. And then you go to select and select what kind of color you want. So usually for the topography you go to topography and choose one of these. So I like this one, coast to inland or whatever it is. So you just select that and click save and OK. And we wait few seconds, and there you go, we got our topography with colors right now, and that's just amazing. So I think that's it for this video, for you guys to maybe take a breath. Okay, see you on the next video.